You know me, I just like to shine a spotlight here on self-published fantasy. Hey everyone, welcome back to Andrew's Wizardly Reads, and as always guys, I'm Andrew, and today I have got my first indie spotlight video here for you. But before we get into that, make sure you're liking and subscribing so you can get regular updates for when I put out new content, because I drop it twice a week. And guys, basically this is the indie spotlight, and what this is I like to talk about self-published fantasy, but I don't always have room to do a dedicated book review for these books. And so I at least want to do my best to talk about them here on the channel, so that you may pick up a new favorite read from a self-published author. So starting out, we are going to talk about author. And essentially, the books that make it into this video are the ones that I just don't have dedicated book reviews for, but I still obviously want to talk about. So starting off, number one, we have got my favorite author from last year, who dropped my number one book of the year, is M.L. Spencer. And we've got Chains of Blood here. Now, Chains of Blood is a sequel series. I did not realize this when I picked it up. However, it does stand well enough on its own. This is a sequel to the Rinwar Saga, which I haven't read yet. So, my bad. But I will be going back and I will be reading that. And then I'll come back to this and be reading this one. But essentially, let's talk about this cover art, because look at it. It is stunning. Now, essentially, this book follows Ryland. And Ryland Marshall, I believe is his name. And basically, Ryland is this soldier. He's just nobody. He has grown up thinking he was nobody, and he has gone off to the wars, and he has come home, and he's just at a bar, drinking, should be working, but you know, whatever. He figures, I've got nothing to do, I've just come back from the wars, I deserve a good drink. Well, when he starts going home, he is waylaid by these mysterious individuals, who then kill and kidnap his kids. So they kill his son and kidnap his daughter, and so he will stop at nothing to figure out not only why has this happened, but also, what can I do to fix this? What can I do to get my daughter back? And essentially we go on this whole adventure with Ryland. And this book, the main trope you're going to find here is the sins of the father. Like I said, this is a sequel series. I believe Rinwar follows Ryland's father. So Ryland has to deal with, not only knowing who he actually is, he doesn't realize where he comes from, who his father actually was, but then he has to come to terms with that, and he has to gain power in order to take back his daughter from the people who have just upended his life for no particular reason, because he just really wanted to be left alone. There's some great magic in here, there's some great combat, there is great character work. This is definitely one to check out. I gave this one an easy 5 stars all day long. Next up, we have got Philip C. Quintrell's The Rise of the Ranger. This is book 1 in the Echoes of the Fall. And guys, this is a 9-book self-pub epic, where Philip C. Quintrell went and wrote 9 books in 5 years. And, I mean, they're fairly decent-sized books with some amazing cover art. Look at these things. Anyway, this one, I believe that this series is broken up into arcs, so this is the start of the first arc, obviously because it's book 1. This follows Asha. Now, when we first meet Asha, he is living with the elves. He is just kind of like this barbarian that the elves have kind of brought in, and they are teaching him to read and write and things of that nature. And then there is an attack by the Dark Elves, and he is kind of pushed out. He's given something and told to flee. Now, this something is very important to our story. But basically, as he flees, he comes across this individual, and all of a sudden we think we've had a time jump. Somehow. And so basically, Asha is taken in, and he is raised to be this great assassin of kind of like mythological power. And what's kind of interesting is then we do a time jump again to 50 years later, and we are now following Asha as a very, very seasoned veteran. He has already left his assassin order. We don't get to sit with him at all. He has chosen a new route in life for himself. And there's an order of people called the Greycoats who have a bone bone to pick with Asha. He has been summoned by kings because he is a man who is known to get stuff done, and then shenanigans ensue. I will say, this is very trope heavy. However, those tropes are executed in fresh and interesting ways. They are not just delivered to you. Like, you can't just point at a trope and go, oh, there's that trope again. I bet you this is what they're going to do with it. No, they're going to take that trope and they're going to do something interesting with it that is not only fun and interesting, but also kind of goes, oh, maybe these tropes aren't quite as tired as I thought they were. This one, for a start of a series on an author I've never read before, solid 4 out of 5. I really enjoyed this series, and I've heard this series just keeps getting better and better. And this is one I am looking to continue here very, very soon. And next up we are Legion, we are Bob. And I kind of liken this one, guys, to Children of Time by Adrian Tchaikovsky. Now, the reason I say that is it's got a lot of similar themes. It's got space exploration, it's got AI, we're kind of going out and we're exploring the world. We discover, like, alien species, things of that nature. Where We Are Legion, We Are Bob differs is it's got a lot more of modern pop culture references dropped in. It's got a lot of them, to the point where, like, Bob is basically this individual who was living his life. He just sold his business. Life was looking up. And he's kind of in Vegas celebrating the sale of his company with hundreds of employees. He's just signed a contract to have, cryogenic preservation after his death, and, he can be brought back, things of that nature. He thinks he's wasted the money, and then bam, he gets hit by a car. And he jumps forward, I think like 300 years or something like that. And the world looks a little bit different, so we've got a little bit of a Futurama thing going on here. But it's very interesting what Bob has to deal with, because basically Bob's, body is gone, but his mind has been preserved. A copy of his mind has been preserved, and he is kind of being groomed and to see if he is fit to become a space probe. And, obviously we can see that he gets launched into space just from the cover, and we kind of get to see him, do his thing, replicating himself, going out and exploring the galaxy, as it were. However, what makes this interesting is that other nations are, it's kind of like the whole space race thing. Other nations are doing the exact same thing with competing programs, and they're not all friendly to Bob. And so Bob is, of course, a man of the 20th or the 21st century, and he drops a lot of pop culture references and injects a little bit of humor. This one is really good. My only real complaint with it was with how short it was, because we kind of reach an objective and it just ends. And for me, it kind of felt like, book 1 of like 3 that some like novels will kind of compact and do book 1, book 2, book 3 all in one bind up. This kind of felt like part 1. So for that reason, I gave that one 4 stars as well. The last one I'm going to discuss here with you is On the Winds of Quasars by T.A. Bruno. Now, I did do a dedicated book review for the first book. This, guys, is something awesome. This is probably one of my new favorite sci-fi series of all time. T.A. Bruno, at least as of the second book, I still have to read the third one, but there's nothing here that I haven't loved. Basically, after coming off of the first book, we have done a slight time jump with Denton and Adalia and their kids, Cade and Nella. And Cade and Nella are kind of living in this world of Kamara that, Denton and Adalia have made. Denton's still doing his whole scout thing, and he's trying to be a good dad. We're kind of dealing with this whole situation that humanity has found itself in. They fled the Sol system to try and escape the oncoming invasion of the AI Masters, or the AI threat, I should say. And we've kind of built this whole new life. Now, the lung lock cure didn't take for everyone, and so society has kind of morphed into those who can just breathe air, or people who have to wear ventilators, things of that nature. We're still exploring the world of Kamara. This one is a lot more action-packed and hits the emotions even deeper. Essentially, Cade comes home after getting a promotion because he works out in space, harvesting minerals and things of that nature, and he's got some planet-side time. And as he comes home, he finds, love and a relationship, and he starts cultivating that. However, Nella, his sister, who is deaf, which I absolutely love deaf representation in my books, as I come from a deaf family, And guys, this was so good because immediately something happens. And the two of them get abducted. And Denton and Idalia have to go back out into Kamara and try and find their kids while Cade and Nella are in a fight for survival. They are fleeing a foe who has been kind of taken over and possessed by something mysterious. And we don't understand why this is happening until we get to the end of the book. And this kind of leads into the last book of the series. It is so good and well worth the read. So guys, these are the 4 books that I am including in my first Indie Spotlight. All of these are highly, highly recommended books, and I promise that there is at least one of these books in here that you are going to love if you give it a shot. So, let me know in the comments down below, what did you think of the first Indie Spotlight? Did any of these books grab your attention and make you want to pick them up? Please let me know in the comments section down below. And as always, make sure you are liking, commenting, and subscribing and hitting that Patreon if you want to support what I do here. Until next time, guys, peace out, stay magical, bye. And as always, I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons.